Hello viewers! Has your car started behaving strangely when you press the throttle? This could be anything from sluggish acceleration and poor throttle response to rough and erratic idle. Well, these issues and some more might be caused by a faulty throttle position sensor, which is vital for the engine's operation. But to determine if this is the case, you need to know what could happen if this component fails, which is what this video is all about. Moreover, we'll learn how to test the throttle position sensor and what to do if it's not working correctly. First, let's briefly explain what the throttle position sensor does and why your car needs it. The amount of air going into the engine is controlled by a throttle body. This effectively is a valve that sits on the intake manifold, which opens and closes depending on how much the driver presses the throttle. If you want to know more about the throttle body and how it works, check out another video we made earlier. In older cars, the throttle pedal and throttle body are connected with a metal cable, meaning all movement is done mechanically. Still, the ECM needs to know how much the throttle is open, so it may adjust fuel injection and ignition accordingly. And this is where the throttle position sensor, which measures the angle of this butterfly valve inside, comes into play. Most newer cars, however, have so-called fly-by-wire throttles, where the butterfly valve is opened by an electric motor which is controlled by the ECM. But to do so, it has to know the butterfly valve's angle at any moment. Once again, readings about this are provided by a throttle position sensor. This configuration allows the ECM to fine adjust the butterfly valve's position for optimum engine performance. So, with the theory ticked off, let's now see what might happen when the throttle position sensor fails. Without precise information on how much the throttle is opened, the ECM will have difficulties adjusting the air-fuel mixture. This will likely lead to engine performance issues such as sluggish acceleration, hesitation or juddering. And more symptomatically, you may notice significant delays in throttle response when you put your foot down. A faulty throttle position sensor might affect idle speed, which can be higher or lower than usual. This happens because the ECM is not able to correctly position the butterfly valve inside the throttle body. And because this is nearly closed at idle, any deviation here will have a noticeable impact. In addition, this can cause the engine to erratically rev up and down on its own while idling. The ECM in modern cars continuously monitors readings from the throttle position sensor and compares them against predetermined values. And if there is a mismatch, it'll trigger a check engine light and store a trouble code in the diagnostic memory. But to check it, however, you'll need an OBD2 scan tool. Sometimes the signal from the throttle position sensor might get briefly interrupted and then restored in a few moments. This is usually caused by a wiring issue or internal mechanical wear. If this happens while driving, the engine will lose power and the vehicle will start slowing down. Most drivers, trying to keep the speed up, will instinctively press the throttle harder in this situation. And once the sensor's signal kicks back in, the car will suddenly speed up, which can be quite dangerous. In most cars with automatic transmission, the signal from the throttle position sensor is also used to adjust gear changes. And with it being incorrect or missing, you may experience gear shift issues. More specifically, the car might not downshift when you press the throttle or upshift when you ease off of it. Because it measures the angle of the butterfly valve inside the throttle body, the throttle position sensor will always be fitted on the side of its housing. With a cable-operated variant, this will be the only electronic component in this assembly, which makes it easy to spot. In cars with fly-by-wire throttles though, the throttle position sensor is most likely integrated into the throttle body and can be replaced separately. A throttle position sensor is in essence a simple piece of electronics, so there isn't much that can go wrong with it. One common problem is mechanical damage to its housing, which allows moisture and dirt inside. This creates corrosion and buildups on sensitive electronics, preventing them from taking accurate readings. Or the electronic itself might be short-circuited or fried. But whatever the cause might be, the throttle position sensor is not a serviceable item and should be replaced if it malfunctions. In addition, like with any other sensor, you may have a wiring issue. This includes broken or damaged wires and loose or corroded connectors, which may offset the readings from otherwise correctly functioning throttle position sensor. You can check this visually by unplugging the connector and examining the wiring for signs of damage. Or, if this doesn't reveal anything, you can check the voltages and resistances with a multimeter. If suspecting your throttle position sensor is giving false readings, you can always test it. And the easiest way of doing this is with an OBD2 scan tool, as these usually can monitor this and other signals. Just connect it to your car, turn on the ignition, go to the live data section and find the throttle position readout. With your foot off the throttle, the reading should say 0 volts or 0% depending on the situation. Then, while keeping an eye on the scanner, slowly and gradually press the throttle all the way to the floor. And then do the same when releasing the throttle. While doing this, the readings should steadily and correspondingly go up and down, as you may see here. Otherwise, there is a problem with the signal from the throttle position sensor. Another option is to check the signal from the sensor with a multimeter, which you'll use to measure the voltage it returns. But to know which wires to probe, you'll need a wiring diagram for your car. Or if the throttle position sensor can be removed, you can measure the resistance, which should change as you physically rotate it. Sometimes the issues with the throttle position sensor can be solved by performing recalibration. This is a specialized procedure during which the sensor relearns at which angles the butterfly valve is fully closed and opened. The best and easiest way of doing this is by using a suitable OBD2 diagnostic tool capable of running this calibration. You just plug it into the OBD2 port, start the procedure and follow the on-screen instructions. However, a suitable diagnostic device might not be available, or the car might not have this recalibration feature. If so, you can try some of the following tricks. First, we have the pedal method, which is the easiest to do. Start by turning on the ignition, but without firing up the engine. With the dashboard lit up, wait for 5 seconds, then fully press the throttle and hold it like that for 20 seconds. Then slowly release the throttle pedal, wait for 10 more seconds and turn off the ignition. If the pedal method hasn't worked, you can try cutting off the power to the throttle position sensor, which can be done by unplugging its connector, removing the corresponding fuse or disconnecting the battery. Whatever you choose to do, leave it like that for at least 5 minutes. This usually resets disconnected electronic components, which then forget all the adaptations and revert to factory settings. Lastly, once reset, the throttle position sensor in some cars must be used for some times before fully recalibrated. This involves turning on the engine, leaving it to idle for several minutes and then turning it off. These 3 steps will sometimes have to be repeated several times. In addition, you might have to take your car for a longer drive at highway speeds. And while cruising, you'll need to accelerate and decelerate slightly, as this allows the sensor to readapt its readings. In addition, in some older cars with a cable-operated throttle, the throttle position sensor may have to be adjusted manually. This is usually done with a screwdriver, which is used to set the fully closed and wide open position. The procedure, however, depends on the car in hand and can be found in a suitable repair manual. A throttle position sensor in cars with cable-operated throttle can usually be replaced separately, and with prices as low as $30 they are not too expensive. The situation is quite different with fly-by-wire throttles, as these usually have the sensor, electric motor and the throttle body's mechanical parts integrated into one sealed unit. So if any of these parts fail, the whole throttle body, whose prices may go way over $500, must be replaced. Then, if you're paying a mechanic to fix this problem, there is the cost of the actual replacement. This mostly depends on how difficult the access to the throttle body and sensor is. In most cars, luckily, this will be somewhere on the top, which makes the job much easier. Still, after fitting a new throttle position sensor, it has to be calibrated, which usually can only be done with an appropriate diagnostic tool. Okay, that's all you should know about the throttle position sensor, the issues it may cause and what to do if that's the case. So if this video helped you with your car problem, give us a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. But if not, something else could be causing these annoying issues. So to continue troubleshooting, check out other videos here or visit our site mechanicbase.com for more detailed automotive repair guides. Bye!